So many rules in 40K, hundreds of events, and constant updates. Skip the learning curve of Warhammer and join the pros. Art of War is led by multiple world champions with decades of success. We teach clinics, stream games, and inspire you to succeed at your favorite hobby. Join our global community of gamers just like you.
Hey everybody, we are back from the weekend at ATC. And you know what day it is today, Jack?
Is it oh gosh. Is it Tuesday?
And you know what that means, right, Jack?
Tacos? No, tier lists.
Well, also tacos.
Also tacos.
Tacos and tier lists. What a great day Tuesday is. That's right, everybody. We are doing the Chaos Space Marine unit tier list. We're going to rank all the different units in the Chaos Space Marine.
You see them down here? You see all these different units? Oh my god. Oh, look at that. There's so many units. There's so many rules in 40K.
There's so many rules in 40K.
There are.
Where have I heard that before?
I think on our commercial.
For the War Room. Right, that's right, the War Room. That's where we teach you guys how to get better at Warhammer. We have a whole Discord community centered around people who are all about getting better at 40K. It's super positive. You have tons of access to the best players in the world right there in the Discord server. Along with that, you get tons of video content. We do 2 coaching games per week, strategy sessions, meta Mondays, faction clinics, know thy enemy clinics. You got it. We got it. Check out the War Room. There's a link below, theartofwar40k.com/learn more. It's right there. Just click it. You'll learn more.
All right.
You ready, Jack?
I'm so ready. Let's talk Chaos.
Chaos Marines. That's right. We're going to rank all the units in this codex, and we're going to do it through of a competitive lens. If you're new to this channel, we are the best players in the world, and we talk about Warhammer, and this is us talking about Warhammer. So we're going to rank these units from tournament staples all the way down to why did you do this to this poor data sheet?
Why would you?
And rank them based on their competitive merits. So not their lore or how cool they are or any of that stuff, although that will be factored in as tiebreakers. Maybe.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe to it, give us a like, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of this tier list. If you disagreed with Jack, let him know. If you agreed with me, let me know. Let us know in the comments. That's very important.
Just those two things.
Anything else, keep it to yourself. And then click that subscribe button. Our ability to keep producing content completely depends on your support for us. So please keep on keeping on.
Well, just to start it off, we got a $2 super chat from Lyle Dixon, someone we saw this past weekend.
Oh, Lyle Dixon, thank you so much.
Taco Tuesday tier list when?
We should go around and rank all the tacos on a Tuesday.
We should.
Okay.
We had some great tacos on the way up to ATC.
We did. We really did.
We really did.
Taco tier list Tuesday coming.
They're S-rank tacos.
They really are. But you know who else is S-rank? I mean, the Mac Daddy.
Are we talking the Dawn?
We might be talking about the Dawn.
Tournament staple, potentially?
All right, so in Black Legion, he's just auto-include all the time, no questions asked. In other factions, other chapters, I don't think he's auto-include, no questions asked. I don't run him in Fabi's Bile. Mark's dropped him from his Emperor's Children after trying him out. I think he's great. I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
You don't have to run him. If you're running Black Legion, you have to run him.
Yes.
But he's awesome. I don't know what to say.
I think he goes clean up in tournament staple first power in just Black Legion alone. I do agree that I think in other chapters he's very expensive and you don't get the full value out of him. You can't give him buffs, which is a big deal. Being able to heal him, being able to advance and charge with him, being able to give him a feel. I don't know. Every buff you want to put on, you can put on him. He has every keyword, so you can do whatever the heck your heart feels like. And then he, in return, buffs the rest of your army with real hits and wounds. Well, outside of Black Legion, you can't do most of that. And he becomes a 300-point beat stick, and that's just not a thing I think that you need very much. He'll do that job very, very well.
Yeah, he is a great beat stick. The face cap is awesome. And in non-Black Legion chapters, he's basically a captain, and then he's like, don't come near this section of the board. He's a little board control tool like that. And if something does come near him, he will chop it in half. But in Black Legion, he's that same board control element, that same beat stick. He also becomes immortal because you cast all your spells on him. You can revive health on him. And then he's just full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound. Here's my unit. It's going to kill you.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that he is a clean tournament staple. Black Legion lists are literally just, hey, how can we abuse Abaddon?
Yeah, actually, that's where it starts.
That's where it starts.
Yeah.
Abaddon, every buff you want on him, and then we're good here.
Yeah, like which units am I putting the Abaddon buffs onto?
Yes.
All right. You know who else is absolutely a tournament staple all the time? You'll see him in every single Chaos Space Marine list. Fabulous Bill.
You actually didn't even see him in your Fabulous Bill list.
Okay, that's a bit of a hard truth you gotta face here. Fabius Bile is a weird creation, dude. He's creation's a Bile thing, so obviously we're only talking about him in context of very specific lists here. But the thing that sucks about him, he's actually got really good straights. Let me start there with his positives. He's got a lot of good stats for his points cost. He's actually got a lot of attacks. He's got a cool rule to buff units. That's actually move, strength, attack, toughness, or I don't think they move, but strength, attack, toughness. Those are all good rules. When you look at the fine print, though, it says an unmarked core unit, which is like
None of them?
I mean, you can choose to not mark your Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, if you're taking a core unit, the main reason to take a core unit is to mark it. And if you're not marking it, it probably isn't a core unit. And
Yeah, it's like his buff is too restricted to be applicable in a way you want to. I'd rather just make my unit corn and get +1 strength that way, or plus
Yeah.
instead of
there's a Venn diagram of, core unmarked units and core units, and they just don't overlap.
Yeah, it's not where you want to be if you're Fabulous Bile. He's pretty cool. He's unfortunately a little bit flawed fundamentally because his rule doesn't really apply to the army the way it wants to. But he himself is not a bad character. The problem with that is that there's like 1,000 good characters in Chaos. So if you're just taking him for his face value, that ain't that expensive.
Yeah, he does not earn an HQ slot by himself.
Right.
But he is good enough to include for his points cost, but not for the
Opportunity
competition
cost is
in the
really
slot.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Perfectly balanced?
I think he's a bit flawed. I think he's like we just pointed out a bunch of flaws with his choice.
That's true.
we
That's
literally
true, but
point out
he
the flaws of
himself
choosing
is worth like his points.
He is.
He just doesn't compete for a slot. I don't know. He goes in.
He's like got good external balance and terrible internal balance.
Yeah. I can put him in flawed choice.
I think he's flawed.
All right, Cypher.
All right, this guy is the man, the cat's pajamas. He walks around with 3 pistols, pop, 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 and that's it.
No. Sometimes when your opponent gains an extra CP, they don't.
That is neat. That's neato burrito.
Yeah, in this economy, he's like a reverse Kodiaz, kind of.
We actually got the whole Vandy Dandy Chaos Space Marine book here. I'm going to look him up because it's been a minute. Cypher, how many points is this bad boy? 90?
I think he's 90.
He's not. He is 90.
He's not bad. And he doesn't necessarily compete for a slot.
He's agent of chaos. He can go into any Chaos Marine army and not.
No, he's an agent of Discord.
He's
an agent of Chaos.
And he can fall back and shoot and advance and shoot. Those are good rules.
Yeah, his guns are not bad.
4-up invul and trans hitman. And he can only ever be hit on 4s. He is aggressively okay.
Each time your opponent uses any rule that will allow them to generate command points or have command points refunded on a 4+, they don't.
That would be a terrible rule to use against me because I'm terrible at generating my own command points, but a great rule to use against Jack and John. They're good at it.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And he doesn't take up an HQ slot if you have a Lord.
Okay, not taking up an HQ slot is a really big deal because I was about to say his problem is that he's competition for other stuff.
Well,
unfortunately, you don't really want to take
I was
Lord.
just about to say, you don't really take any Lords. I mean, if you're running Harkin, he's a Lord. You might want to take him. If you're
Harkin's
running
a great Chaos Lord.
Yeah, if you're running Huron, he's a Lord. You might want to take
Lucius.
him. Lucius. And then that's about it. The generic Chaos Marine Lord, meh.
So, I think he's perfectly balanced. Like, I'm never going to go out of my way to take him. That's because he's hard to get into a list, being an Agent of Chaos and an HQ slot. But, like, he's fine for 90 points.
He's fine.
He's fine.
He's fine. He does what he does, but that thing is not like...
He's like a really good Kellenmorph.
Yeah. Harkin, though.
Harkin the World Claimer.
Harkin is like half of Abaddon
Harkin
for half the cost.
Harkin is the only jump lord that Chaos has access to at all, and he hits hard, like actually hits hard, and he is fast, and he's a chapter master for Raptors.
Yes, and he's a chapter master for anything. I believe.
For anything?
Yeah, he's a chapter master for anything, and he's Vol for Raptors.
Oh my god, reroll hits and wounds. This is Harkin the World Claimer. He literally was a meme for like 2 editions, and now he's like, guys, I am cool. I got rules. I am shiny. I am new. You can only run him in Black Legion. If you're playing Black Legion, he's a tournament staple.
I would say so. Him and Abaddon might be a bit too much together, but that's a lot of rerolls.
I haven't written a full Black Legion list, so perhaps you're right, but like everyone I envision in my head starts with both of those.
Yeah, I mean, they're just such a good duo. And also, like, Abaddon can give his full rerolls to Harkin. Harkin go out and slap people. Like, they're just a good pair. Harkin then give rerolls to a unit, and Harkin do be barkin', Ron.
And we got Mr. Huron the Blackheart.
So, looking at him, though, a little bit more than that.
Looking at his points.
Okay, he's 150.
Oh, okay.
And he does get extra attacks for killing characters. That's whatever. He makes additional models flee when they're within 6 inches, but you can increase the range of that.
This is still Harkin.
This is still Harkin. Yeah. So when you kill a character, his Herald of the Apocalypse aura, which makes an additional model flee anytime an enemy fails leadership, goes up by 6 inches to a maximum of like basically the entire board.
Wow.
The whole Lord of Raptors thing is good because you can give full rerolls to hit to anything. I'm still not sold on Raptors though.
I'm sold on reroll wounds Raptors. I really am.
That is pretty good. I love Harkin. I do think that's like the most powerful thing in the book is taking Abaddon and Harkin and then just saying everyone rerolls everything.
Corn reroll hit Raptors are literally 19-point Vanguard vets.
Wait, what?
Corn reroll hit Raptor. Are they 18 points?
They're core?
Yeah, they're core. Give a Space Marine jump pack. It's still core.
Well, okay, they are 21 points.
I was close.
But still, that's... I mean, we'll get to it when we get to Raptors.
But, Jack, they're not possessed nor word bearers, so they can't be good.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. All right, what else we got?
All right, we got Huron.
Huron the Blackheart, a Red Corsair. He's a chapter master for the Red Corsairs. He's also a once per game spellcaster, which is nifty because Chaos have an HQ spell problem, so this does help with that.
It also, if you want to get around having Abhor the Witch, he is not a psyker.
Oh, that's nifty burritos.
Yeah.
And he also has a deny, right?
He does not have a deny. It's once per game you can cast a power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's pretty decent. How much does he cost?
I think he's also 150.
I don't like him at 150. I don't think he's too impactful.
He might be less than that.
140.
140.
He's on the pricier side. I think I would go over Huron. I'd probably spring for a Demon Prince or something in my list, or a Disco Lord. But he is certainly not bad. I think he's a balance.
He is Chapter Master. Chapter Master is pretty dope.
It is, especially in an army where they get exploding sixes to hit. Like reroll hits,
yeah.
It slaps. So he's definitely solid. In Red Corsairs, I don't know if I'd run him just because it doesn't really fit with the way I build my Red Corsairs list. But I think he's a good unit.
I think if you're making an aggressive Red Corsairs list, I think all your Red Corsairs lists are like trying to play the primary and just like advancing units onto objectives and nonsense. Mm-hmm. If you're taking one that's trying to take advantage of the advance and charge, like getting really aggressive.
Yeah, like charging someone and killing them.
I do think Huron Blackheart is like old Helbrecht. Back when he could advance and charge, he would give people like you give him a buff, and then later on in the game he goes on an adventure.
I could see that. He's pretty good like that. All right. You think he's a strong choice?
I think he's a strong choice. I think he's a strong choice.
You know who else is a strong choice? Lucius the Eternal.
Well, Lucius definitely runs afoul of the slot problem in that he is great. You can't tell me he's bad. But
I mean, there are so many great HQs in Chaos. I mean, we look at this argument: 2 tournament staples and a strong choice, and we haven't even gotten to the Legion ones yet. So Lucius is awesome. He does a 6-inch heroic on his own. He's a Chaos Lord. He can spend strats for 6 turns in a row because he's Emperor's Children. He gets better attacks when he is fighting someone with Leadership 8, I believe it is.
No, Weapon Skill 3+.
Weapon Skill 3+.
Which is like any relevant unit.
Yeah, like everything in the game that doesn't suck at combat is Weapon Skill 3+. And
yeah.
If you're fighting it, you're good. So that's going to make him +1 damage. So he's going to be damage 3 on his Duelist Sword.
No, you add, +3 attacks, and then... +1 damage. Yeah, +3 attacks, +1 damage.
That's 8 attacks at damage 3, just because he's fighting someone who hits on 3s, which is like everybody.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's 6-inch heroics. He has Honor the Prince because he's Emperor's Children.
Gives people fight last.
He's a fight last dude.
Yeah.
This guy's insane.
Yeah, he's great. Problem is, does a pure damage character? Pretty much. I mean, he has some combat. He's like a judiciary.
He also walks 6. So, like,
he does.
As much as he's mobile because Emperor's Children auto-advancing 6 or auto-charging with a flat 6 on one of the dice, he base walks 6. So, There's that. You can Dark Apostle him, though, for Advance in Charge, right? Is that core character?
What's that?
Can you give him Advance in Charge with
Yes,
the
you
Dark
can.
Apostle? So that helps him out.
Apparently, the Emperor's Children Heroic Intervention lets you activate a character within 6, but you move 3 inches.
Okay, I didn't think
It's a little weird.
Was how it worked. That could be wrong, though. There's a lot of rules in this book.
There's a lot of rules in 40k.
A lot of rules in 40k.
That's what I've heard. So, I mean, he's just a great combat character.
I think he's a strong choice. I think if you take him, you're not going to regret taking him. He's going to perform for you. He's going to be very strong. But there are other strong choices, and you can't choose them all.
Yeah, technically that's correct, but it seems like it's intended for you to be able to intervene 6, but whatever. Yeah, he's a strong choice, I would say, but the slot competition...
No, he's a strong choice. You put him right in there. Okay.
All right, there we
If
go.
there's 7 strong choices, then you're going to make your choices.
That is a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah. All right.
Then who's this? We got
generic Chaos Lord.
This guy, imagine if we took all the rules that Huron and Lucius and Harkin had, and we just took all the good rules off and left them with reroll 1s. Yeah,
reroll 1s just, isn't enough when you have these other options, and I don't know. He feels like he's pointless, and every HQ slot needs to earn its...
The Neato Burrito thing about the Chaos Lord is that he gets access to Warlord traits and relics, but so do Demon Princes and Disco Lord. So you're going to put it on the more baseline strong models. A big theme through all of Chaos Space Marines is you have amazing buff powers, whether it's Warlord traits, relics, demon weapons, spells, whatever it might be, and you can apply them to a variety of units. But the better the base unit you apply it to, the more powerful that buff is going to be. So you can make a super amazing Chaos Lord with Warlord traits, relics, and strats, but imagine taking all that and putting it on Demon Prince.
Yeah, you can. And he's not that much more expensive, and a Demon Prince has a power and hits harder. It just, I would personally put him in flawed choice. Not a terrible character, but just meh.
It's so lackluster.
Yeah. Speaking of lackluster.
Actually, Jack, I know what you're going to say, and 99% of the time I would just agree with you. But Mark has shown me the light of the Chaos Terminator Lord. In Emperor's Children, specifically. Because then or probably in Renegades too, in Red Courtiers. Because they actually get there with Honor the Prince or Advance in Charge.
Well, apparently Honor the Prince can't be used on characters.
Oh, that's right. We learned that in a podcast, didn't we? Well, scratch that thought. But you can make it a very, very, very hard-hitting Chaos Terminator Lord because he's got different weapon options, and that's not bad. But if he's undeliverable, that is pointless.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think you can make him hit that much harder than any of your other HQs.
Well, he deep strikes for free, so that was part of the Honor the Prince plan. That doesn't work.
Yeah, that would make it significantly worse.
Because he was like a mini Terminator unit, but he's not because he fails that charge now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Mark still won't.
Mark still won't. So
Mark will still deep strike him. He will still make the 9-inch charge.
When we found out live in the podcast that he doesn't actually work on character
Did Mark
units,
say it didn't matter?
Mark was like, "That's fine."
Well, he kept deep striking Fugan. He would play Fugan in Eldar. He took him to deep strike him every game.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, Jack.
Yeah.
But this is the Sorcerer, not about Mark.
All right, Sorcerer.
The Sorcerer. So Warp Time got nerfed, right? Warp Time was the best reason to run a Sorcerer before, because moving twice was the bee's knees. And Prescience was a good second spell because +1 hits crate and +1 hit creating exploding 5s, which is how Death to the False Emperor used to work, even better. Now Prescience doesn't trigger exploding 5s because the new rule, the Wontons are all set to unmodified 6s. And then Warp Time...
You mean the Wanton Destruction, Massacre, and Slaughter?
That's exactly what
right.
And then the Warp Time doesn't let you do anything afterwards. So you're like, this isn't as powerful as it used to be.
The powers I really want are Prescience, Death Hex to ignore invulns. And if you really want them, you're almost certainly taking Legionary Squad, which you can just take a 20-point upgrade to give them one of those powers.
Another neato thing is that this would be a great way to get something like Delightful Agonies into your list, because Feel No Pain is an amazing spell. But just by taking a sorcerer, a psyker of any type, and giving it the Marcus Slanish, it just learns Delightful Agony. So your Legionnaires, like Jack was just saying, can learn that, or your Master Possession, who you're probably taking, can just learn that.
Your Demon Prince already knows it if you're having a Demon Prince. The fact that a Demon Prince is a Lord plus a Sorcerer really just means both of those options are kind of less relevant.
I always like that little triad the Chaos Marines have with the Chaos Lord basically being half a Demon Prince, the Sorcerer being half a Demon Prince, but you can just get 2 for 1.
Yeah.
And because slots are your bigger problem in this slot than the points, you may as well just combine them.
Yeah, I see the Sorcerer as being a flawed choice personally.
I think he's balanced only because I've thought about taking them for like Warp Ritual and stuff. Like it's not a bad second Sorcerer.
That's fine. That's fair. But, nah.
I mean, this guy is the same thing as the regular Sorcerer to me. You pay like 20 more points, you gain a wound, and an armor save, and an invul. So, like, put them next to each other is my vote.
Okay.
They're like the same unit.
They're basically the same unit, except one is more expensive. Whereas the point of this one, this one here, is that it's cheaper, and you can just be like, cheap.
Yeah.
Whereas as soon as you start increasing the points cost, you're like, Demon Prince?
Right. I just like, if you're going to use it as second Sorcerer for Warp Ritual, make him a little bit tougher, you know?
That's fair. That's fair. Master of Possessions.
The good old-fashioned mop.
The mop. M-O-P.
This guy, he's got some good spells. So, Jack, you want to run through the whole list over here of the stuff he casts?
All right, so just off the top of my head, there's Pact of Flesh, which lets you heal a core character or demonkin D3, and then res a model. That's insane. That goes off on a 5, or less. We'll get to that. Then there's one where you warp marked. You pick an enemy unit. All your demonkin get +1 to wound against it. That's nuts. So you can get an aura of +1 leader, +1 initiative. Invuln. Thank you.
+1 initiative?
+1 initiative. I've been doing the Horus Heresy tier lists. Of +1 invuln to everyone around, and then you can take mortals when you charge them. That's Cursed Earth. That one's insane. And then lastly, you can give units +1 strength or +1 toughness, or if they're demon, can you roll hot? Both.
Yeah.
Those are all great. Then there's some other powers in there that are okay. And he knows whatever the Godmark power is. And any of the Malefic powers, you can get +2 to cast if you do some mortal wounds to a unit nearby.
Yeah, the Apothecary at 18 inches that goes off on a 5.
3. If you get +2 to cast.
It goes off on 3.
It actually goes off on a 2 if you have a Venom Crawler nearby.
Oh my god. So and then there's a relic this guy has access to. I guess other things have access to it also, but
he really makes use of it.
It lets him cast an extra spell and then also increase the range of a spell by 6. So increased range is always welcome. Casting an extra spell means he's going to cast the 2 that he wants to cast, and then also Delightful Agonies or whatever his Godmark power is.
Yeah, it's a huge deal for him because ordinarily he just casts what he knows, and then the God power is like, oh, I can't get cast.
And then you want to take that Sorcerer. But this guy and the Demon Prince really work to invalidate those Sorcerers.
Yeah, exactly. This guy is a
staple. He's
one of probably the best buff character in the game.
He might be.
He might be. His powers are absurd. He's very cheap. And yeah, he casts at ridiculous values because you roll double ones, you perils, and you're like, well, that spell went off, and it's like, what?
This guy's made for me.
It's perfect. You can't fail powers. You'll find a way. You like move the Venom Crawler too far away, and you're like, no, I rolled the double ones.
What's this guy?
All right, Exalted Champion, a Lieutenant Torah.
Okay, this guy pointless.
He's more pointful than a Chaos Lord because you can't just take like a demon champion who has the reroll ones to wound aura.
How many points is he?
He's like too many.
Is he like cheap? If he's like cheap, I can get behind
he is cheap. The main problem is the slots for him, but if you're deciding between different choices, then he's 90.
Oh, it's pricey for a lieutenant too.
You also can't choose his loadout. He comes with a combi melter.
This guy he's just not good.
He's just
not good.
It's just not worth it. There's so many better options, and he is not one of them. He's better than the Lord, though.
Like, I know what he does. It's very linear, and it's not on the right side of the math.
I agree.
But talk about someone who's like very creative with his usage of loadouts. The Demon Prince, who we've been singing home about. He is he is a Lord and a Sorcerer. He has 8 wounds. He can fly. He kills stuff pretty good. He casts spells pretty good.
Yeah.
He can know 2 spells because he can be that. In Slanesh, which you really want to be because it gets you Delightful Agonies.
He does not know 2 spells.
No, I'm saying he learns the Delightful Agonies.
I see.
So In that one, he'll learn Delightful Agonies. He'll also be able to access the Intoxicating Elixir, which will give him a once per game D3 extra attacks and a phase cap of 3 wounds, which is amazing. Phase caps are great.
Yeah, it just means that phase he cannot take more than 3 wounds, which means your opponent is just getting hit, and they can't deal with him.
You could instead make him super amazing in close combat. You could make him pretty tough. These things are very, very versatile in creation and execution and awesome. I think it's just a strong choice.
It's one of the best places to put your buffs. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a strong choice. You could talk about tournament staple, but I don't know. It's very good.
I don't think either of us run one, but not because like there aren't attractive choices.
I have. Okay. Because I need to do Warp Ritual, and I have a second. Like I mean, in Word Bears, I took an Apostle, I took a Master of Possessions, and then I don't want my Master of Possessions to be doing Warp Ritual, so I took a Demon Prince.
Right. You sprung for the Prince over that Sorcerer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is a thing.
I mainly it was replacing a Lord Discordant, and I was very sad about it.
Those two are very interchangeable. I think you kind of go one or the other with your Chaos Marines.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we get to that Disco Lord, let's talk about these Dark Apostle and friends.
So for the last 8 years, Nick has pronounced Apostle as Apostle. And at first he did it because that's how he thought it was pronounced. And then when I pointed it out, he would then say it actively as many times as possible just to infuriate me. And that continues to this day.
And it still works.
8 years later.
It really does.
Yep. The Dark Aposta.
He is pretty good. He's got his 2 little buddies, which is really interesting because it's a 3-man unit you can't shoot at, so it'll count for engage in all fronts, and it can actually attempt to do odds on a 50-50. It's nifty burritos like that. But also, it casts some good powers and chance.
He does have some great chance. He has some amazing chance. The only be hit on a 4+, no rerolls is great. The advance and charge off of Slanesh is great. And then that's not it. There's a bunch more, but you're never going to take them because he knows one chance one.
The one that makes him good in close combat, the Chaos version of Mantra of Strength, that thing actually makes him good in close combat.
It does. +3 attacks, -2 AP on his weapon.
And then he's a little undeliverable, but if you're playing a faction like Red Corsairs, they can already advance and charge. That's a...
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The one problem I would say, the reason I don't think he's a tournament staple up with the mop is because CSM kind of has a core problem.
Yeah.
A lot of their units that you want to take are not core, which means his stuff just doesn't work on them.
I think he's a great choice. You can certainly build a list that wants him, and then you'll include him. You don't have to build a list that wants to include him, and you don't have to include him. He's great.
He is a strong choice. His buffs are phenomenal, though. Yeah. In Word Bears, he gets significantly better because he knows to chance 2 and can reroll his chance, which is... The chanting 2 part is way better.
These things are awesome, though.
Yeah.
Just across the board.
All right, Lord Discordant. We're not even out of the HQs. Look, we're filling up like this is a regular tier list.
I was just thinking, we're going to run out of space.
Yep.
The Lord Disco, he's changed quite a bit. He went down from 12 wounds to 9 wounds, which you might think is a nerf, but let me tell you, it's really not.
You can't shoot him if he's character protected.
Benefits from that good old-fashioned lookout surge. That's pretty cool. I actually like to put the Intoxicating Elixir onto this guy, because then you can't shoot him, and then you charge him, and he doesn't die because phase cap, and then he eats so much stuff.
And you take the reroll wounds, Flames of Spite, Warlord trait.
He's got so many attacks. You get so much value out of the reroll wounds.
Almost as many attacks as there are rules in 40k.
And then 6s do mortals and you're rerolling wounds, so just chop, 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 but up.
And you also can't stop it. Like, your opponent can't dive your army and trying to kill him.
He also comes with a
phase cap.
2d3 shot flamer, Bale Flamer.
And since it's a flamer...
Plus 2 shots on top of that for Chaos Marines.
I know it looks like, that's an average of 4. No, it's an average of 6 auto hits.
Chaos has a big problem chaff clearing in general. This is like 95% of melee army, and it's not the best at shooting, so like basic screening is a tremendously weird problem for it. So being able to just clear all that out with flamers is real nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have enough flamers, you can totally just take an army that's like 3 Lord Discordants.
Mark and I have talked about that quite a bit. This thing is money in the bank. It's a little clunky to move around because it's got the weird oval base and no fly, and it's not infantry. I wouldn't necessarily want to take 3. It very much skews your army, but they are great.
They are really good. I think they're tournament staples.
I think they're strong choices because I don't think you have to run them. But they're great.
They're so tournamental when you do.
To me, the tournament staple means it's in like every single list, though. It's not like in every single list.
Yeah, but you can't by nature have HQs in tournament staple because you can only run so many.
Not you're being extra now, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see everything in every list, but I mean, you will see these two in Black Legion, and you will see the Master of Possession.
I think I
pretty much
rest my
everything.
case.
Okay. Warp Smith.
The Warp Smith. So this guy, he's like a tech marine but evil.
Yeah, he is a tech marine, but evil.
I don't really like tech marines. I think they are kind of pointless. I think.
Well, imagine having a tech marine in a non-shooting army.
What does this guy do?
I don't know. He gives +1 to hit in shooting, whereas the Lord Discordant gives +1 to hit in combat. One of those is more important for this army than the other. He heals models. He is an HQ slot. He's way worse. A lot of these buffing HQs are like the Captain Aura and the Warp Smith or whatever are way worse than their Space Marine counterparts.
I don't think he's good value on his face value of data sheet per points, and I don't think his buffs apply to anything that matters. No, he's a YGWY.
I don't think he's a YGWY. If you're running Iron Warriors and you're taking like Forge Fiends and nonsense like that, you're going to include a Warp Smith.
Fine.
Yeah. All right, the Dark Commune.
I don't know what this is, Jack.
It chants a power.
Mm-hmm.
It casts a power.
It's like a weird collaboration. It's like a Chaos Command squad of cultists.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. It gives cultists some buffs. You're not going to care about that because cultists are there to die, and giving them like +2 leadership will not make them not die.
That's not going to keep anything in.
No, they chant a power and they cast a power, and they're 100 points, and they're not good.
But they're cool.
They are so cool.
They are really cool.
They have some models in there that are dedicated close combat guys, and they're not good at it, but it's so adorable that they try.
This can't be a YGWY. This is so cool.
It's not. It's a flawed choice.
It tie-breaked right into flawed choice.
It's just...
A top of flawed choice.
Yep.
It's the most flawed.
Yeah, they had +2 leadership, and they reroll 1s to hit for friendly cultists within 6.
And they're cool models.
Yep. They
Put
don't
them
know...
perfectly balanced.
They are not. They don't know all the chants, and they don't know all the powers. It's just like, meh.
I don't really know what this unit's doing. I don't think it knows what it's doing, but it's doing a lot of stuff.
It's doing a lot of stuff badly.
Yeah, and that's not what matters.
All right, but what does matter is this $5 super chat we have from George Bloater. I'm loving my tons of bikes and tons of dreads Custodes list. Either wins big or loses big. Having trouble managing my katas. What do you recommend?
Thanks so much for your super chat, George. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're not going to take this one?
I was going to leave it for you.
Oh, okay, thank you. So, katas, it depends. If your opponent has a lot of vehicles, you probably want Rendax for that anti-vehicle punch. Dakatari is very solid across the board. The -2-inch pile and consolidate and the +1 attack is very strong. I like, at this point with my Mass Dread lists, like Mass Dread, Mass Caladius, I like taking, was it Callistus? Is it Callistus? No, it's Conservi. Conserve, take that round turn 1.
These are just made up words.
You take Conserve turn 1 so that you can advance infantry units and raise banners on objectives. After that, Captaris is pretty good. Lets you turn off rerolls coming your way in combat and lets you trap people with your infantry models. Dakatari is really good. Rendax is really good depending on your opponent. Salvus can be good if you need to advance and shoot. There are a lot of good options. If you're taking a lot of bikes, then a lot of the offensive ones can matter. If you're taking a lot of dreads, a lot of Caladius, which is what I tend to favor, it's mostly just Conserve to get to objectives and raise banners, and then whatever your heart desires, because it doesn't really matter.
You know what doesn't matter, Jack? The cultists. The cultist lives right here. They don't matter to the
They don't matter.
gods.
They are very, very whatever.
They are cheap. They are troops. They are obsec. They don't do anything else. They can perform actions. That's what they're there for. They exist. They are perfectly balanced.
They are, just because they fill up troop slots and hold points, and that's cool.
Like they're a good unit for the stuff that cultists should be good at.
Yeah, which is sitting on objectives and being the first unit out to die, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Basic screening.
basic screening. I'm surprised you like them.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm going to use them for that role.
Yeah. Accursed cultists, though.
You and I have both tried these little guys.
They
they're an
performed
interesting unit.
very well for me.
I actually like them quite a lot. Basically, what I've found is they are like a cultist unit in that you don't care at all what happens to them, and they can hold objectives and just be annoying. But they're like weirdly a lot of effort for your opponent to kill because they don't take damage from morale. Basically, they have those weird damage soakers in the big cojones. I don't remember what they're called. The mutants, maybe.
Nope, the Torments.
The Torments, right, that one. So those guys, they soak damage pretty well. And then they revive themselves and do weird unit stuff.
Yeah, well, what I like them for is, first off, they're just annoying. They're toughness 4 cultists with a 6 of Feel No Pain and a bunch of extra wounds. Well, not a bunch, but there's 11 wounds in the unit, but it's divided up weirdly and awkwardly. So if you hit them with multi-damage, it's like, all right, one idiot dies. And if you hit them with single damage, it's like, all right, that didn't do anything because it went on a Torment. Then they have 6 of Feel No Pain, toughness 4, which makes it just really annoying to wipe out the whole unit at once. It's basically impossible unless you devote real resources to killing them.
You want to kill this thing with like sneezing bolters off of rhinos,
and that is just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So they can take up board space in a way that's really obnoxious to deal with. But what they can also do is just put one model on an objective and the rest is behind a wall, and your opponent shoots at them and kills half the squad in one activation. And if you had the rest of the squad in line of sight, they'd be dead. But you don't. You pull behind the wall. And then in your turn, you're like, I didn't take a morale check. Boop, boop, boop. We're back on the objective because it's in the command phase. We score that point. It's dope.
They're also awkwardly good at combat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they're good at combat, but they're like, do some damage on the way of getting attacks through. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll beat up on their equivalents from other armies.
They'll beat up some 5 Ranger trash from Eldar. They'll put 2 wounds onto a vehicle while they're charging it randomly.
Yeah.
It's a lot of AP 1 and 2.
They'll kill some Marines too because there's a lot of AP 2 damage too, so they get 4-ups against it and strength 5. So it's like, oh, that's awkwardly just gonna lose. Like Marines are gonna awkwardly lose combat to that. Like
it sucks that they can't do actions. That's the biggest flaw I think they have. That bothers me a lot, but I think they're a good unit.
I think they're a tournament staple personally. I want to take as many of these as I'm legally allowed to.
I mean, I'm working my way up there, but I think they're a strong choice personally.
I could see that. I think they're one of the better.
I don't think they're the best strong choice.
I think they're the best troops choice in the book by a not unreasonable margin.
Great, personally, which we're getting to.
We're on Legionnaires right now.
So Legionnaires, they're very customizable because they got the marks and they got the ability to take the tome, which will make them a psyker all of a sudden. I've seen a lot of success talking to some other competitive players out there who are just running a bunch of 5-mans and just making them little basic rubric marine squads by taking a tome in all of them, and you just get your powers off. I personally am running like larger units, 8 to 10 mans with like Mark of Corn and Fabius Bile and just punching people. I think they're great in Red Corsairs because the advance in charge count as 2 models each. You can just steal objectives really well with like 5 dudes counting as 10 just standing on an objective. They're very, very customizable. They're super awesome. You actually want to take these. I think they're great.
Their flexibility is the point. I think they're a strong choice for sure.
I think they're a tournament staple.
They're not amazing at anything is the problem. They're just like, they can be okay at whatever, and they take up a troop slot.
That's true. They're not in literally every list, but I like them a lot.
Well, they are literally in every list because they have to be.
No, they don't.
But they're not a role. They're fine. In like, you can make them if you're running a lot of close combat. You can be like, all right, my troops choices are going to be good at close combat. If you're running them as like little idiot casters, they can do that too. But they're not going to be amazing at any one role.
So like in Emperor's Children, I wouldn't run any. For sure.
Yeah.
In certain factions, I could see like running like 3 squads of Chosen to get your troops that way, and then
in Black Legion, I certainly wouldn't include any because you're going to have a lot of core in that. You're going to have Raptors. You're going to have Chosen.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And in that, it's like, all right, I'm just taking 3 squads.
I think
first.
they're perfectly balanced. The top was perfectly balanced.
That was a drop from Tournament Staple to perfectly balanced.
Wow.
I agree they are imperfectly balanced, but like...
I was thinking Tournament Staples because they're in every Chaos Marine list because you have to take them and you want to take them. But then I was like, you don't have to take them and you don't always
and
want
you
to
don't
take them.
really want to take
So
them.
they're perfectly balanced. but I get it. I run more than like my minimum amounts. Like, don't get me wrong. I enjoy this unit.
It's a good unit. It is a good unit, but...
Yeah.
It's perfectly balanced.
It's perfectly balanced.
Chosen.
This unit is like Chaos Space Marine Legionnaires, but better. It's got that 3rd wound, which really is a game changer for Space Marine type profiles. There's so much damage to you these days.
There's a lot of damage too.
There's not that much damage 3. I mean, there is, but it's not
in the quantity.
Not in the quantity. And like the overcommitment of delivering the little damage 3 you have into just one of these units is something. Also, do you know how broken Delightful Agonies on a 3-wound model unit is?
Yes, especially when you're rolling the Feel No Pains.
And then you can heal them with the mop?
With Feel No Pains, I hand you 3 damage, like, you fail 3 saves against damage 2. You go, oh, I failed 1. I passed both. Failed one. Yeah, he's still living. I'm like, come on, dude.
And then the heal and this unit, you can take a 10-man unit of Chosen. You can give it Feel No Pain. You can give it the Black Crown of Damnation for -1 to wound.
Black Rune, but yeah.
Yeah, Black Rune, Black Crowns. It's all stuff you wear. And then you just -1 to wound, and you're feeling the pain, and you're healing, and your unit is unkillable, and it's like 250 points, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and they can get marked and an icon, which is just not a common thing.
No, this is. I think these are tournament staples.
I think they're a tournament staple as well. I've grown to love them a lot more. I play with the Terminators, and I'm like, you know what I want?
Well, so, like Terminators, we're here now.
We're here.
They're. I think there's 3 tiers to the Chaos Space Marine unit line. Right, there's the basic troop. Then you pay a premium and you go up a wound and you become a Chosen. And then you pay another points premium and you also gain a 2-up armor save, a 5-up invul, which is kind of redundant with Armor of Contempt, and the ability to Deep Strike, and a Bolter. So you would kind of think that the Terminator price point is worth it with all those things being added together.
Just kind of not.
The value really, all of that's just like extra glitter. It's all the value came from that 3rd wound. So you really get your money on that 2nd tier with the Chosen.
If they hit harder in combat, that would be something, but they just don't.
Right.
Like, you can pay extra and you can make them a 38-point model and get a Power Fist.
And then we're just like, why am I paying for this? This is stupid. I got better options here.
Yeah.
But for the price point of a Terminator's defense is really good, but like you get most of the value out of a Chosen on the defense front. And then your offense is like not much better than a Chosen because they both have the same weapon close combat wise, and a Storm Bolter, Combi Bolter rather, is not the most impressive thing these days.
Yeah, they're just, the more I play with them, they're not bad in that they can do the job of absorbing every single buff. And then they're all right, and they're impossible to kill, and they don't actually hit hard, which is crazy.
You can give the Black Rune of Damnation on them. You can give them Feel No Pain. It's even more unkillable, which is awesome. But it's almost like you're redundantly unkillable because the Chosen were already too hard to kill, and then you're not any more offensive, so it's equally as ignorable.
Yeah, and what I really want is just an extra 100 and change points.
Yeah, I'd rather have the Chosen for my unkillable brick and then something else entirely, like a Venom Crawler, which is dirt cheap, than like just 10 Terminators.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think they're bad. I think they go in perfectly balanced.
Behind the Legionnaires.
Okay. They're good. They're good, but the plus points over the Chosen is just not necessary. And the more I've played with them, the more I realize, yeah, you just want Chosen. Also, Chosen move an inch further, which is not inconsequential.
They move 2 inches further in Fabius Bile.
Well, no, they still move 1 inch further.
But 2 inches further than your not Fabius Bile Terminators.
Right.
Your Word Bearers Terminators.
Right, Word Bearers Terminators, though, real hits. So, anyway, they move 1 inch further, whether they're both in Fabius Bile or not both in Fabius Bile. Thank you, Nick.
But the Master of Executions, Master Executioner, Master of Executioners, I don't know. This guy, he executes stuff. He Heroic 6. He has access. He is my favorite recipient to demon weapon stuff because his demon weapons make him insanity mode damage, and he's 65 points.
Yeah, the amount of damage this dude can pump out for 65 points is actually crazy. If you look at him, he is Celestine. He's strength 7, AP 3, damage 2, 6 attacks.
But then he gets Warlord traits and relics.
Yeah, and 6 to hit are just 2 mortals instead. So he's an excellent recipient of full rerolls to hit because you just fish for the 6s and you're just like, here's like 6 mortals. And he rerolls wounds against characters natively. And he's got a great profile. And he benefits a lot from marks. So yeah, he's dirt cheap at 65 points in Heroic 6 and protects your units, which is super cool. And he hits very, very hard. But then if you want to make him 80 points, every single one of the changes, except for Zinch, really, benefits him. Slaanesha's fights first and access to advance and charge. That's amazing. Khorne gives you access to the 4+ stop a spell strat, which is great, and makes him strength 8, which is a terrific breakpoint. And Nurgle makes him just like awkwardly hard to kill and gives you access to the Nurgle demon weapon, which is pretty good. It lets you ignore phase caps, which is kind of a problem. No, he's so cheap.
My favorite is actually Undivided. It keeps him even cheaper at 65 and no extra points on that. Then you give him Ulaklak, the black. That's pretty good. And that's the Undivided demon weapon, which will make every time you successfully wound your opponent a mortal wound also. So hits are 2 mortals, wounds are a mortal plus damage, and it's like, take 4 saves, decent damage on that, and also 5 mortals, 6 mortals.
Yep, 6 mortals. You're just going to kill people with the mortals, and then they're like, your saves don't matter. Get out of here.
Gone. Goodbye. See you later.
So there's like 5 different ways you can get this guy out that
This
are all
guy's a
insane.
staple, right? Oh,
Yeah, this
he's
guy's
been
a
in all my
tournament staple.
lists. I don't feel good leaving him at home.
One of the best characters in the book, and the book has some insane characters.
Yeah.
Anything that gives him reroll hits, so Word Bearers or the Warlord trait for reroll hits, or Abaddon/Huron giving him reroll hits, makes him just go insanity mode.
He's another great recipient for the elixir because he can 6-inch heroic into something that would kill him, not die, and then I'll annihilate it in your own turn or in your opponent's turn. Same thing in Fabius Bile. They can revive characters on a 2-up. Really good for that.
You can also charge into an enemy unit that would kill you,
Not
like
die.
Sanguinary Guard or something.
Great way to
kill a
eat and
bunch.
interrupt.
Kill a bunch, touch a couple units, and you're like, yeah, I'm not dying here, so you can't fall back and charge.
That's one of my favorite little Eldar tricks.
Yeah. It was really, really annoying. Really annoying. So he is incredible. He's one of the best damage-dealing characters at his price point.
I think he might be the most price-efficient damage dealer in the game.
Possibly, yeah. He's more than a chapter champion. A chapter champion at 70 is, like, pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's
Mortals,
better than a chapter champion.
Mortals
He's
are crazy,
cheaper.
man.
Yeah, the amount of mortals, the ability to just give him a bunch of warlord traits and relics that really amp that up. He's insane. Now we're looking at Possessed.
Possessed. What a weird unit. So I thought Possessed were broken and you would run 30 of them, and then Jack pointed out to me you have no core, no mark, and I walked that idea right backwards.
Yeah, if they had core, they would be in tournament staple.
They would be the top of tournament staple, and you would run 30.
They would be incredible. As it is, they're not bad.
They're good. I think they're actively good. They got great stats across the board. They're 3-1 Space Marines, toughness 5. They're totally healable with your Mop Apothecary. They benefit from your Master Possession spells. They are inherently fast. Their base move is 9. They don't need, like, that's the same as advancing and charging and rolling a 3. And then they're pretty good. They're 2 damage. They hit hard. Where I think they don't love their price point. They're 140 for a 5-man and 280 for a 10-man. And they don't get buffs really. I think in certain chapters like Word Bearers, they're amazing because they get reroll hits from that and they have other spells. I'll let you go on to Word Bearers. Let me just finish the thought.
Please.
I think they're a great intermediary unit for Chaos Space Marines because they can go out there and require a lot of effort to kill from your opponent, which can get a good trade war started for you. And if your opponent doesn't give proper attention to them, especially with the mob healing them, they're just going to steamroll through something.
Yeah. Because they kill half the unit, right? They kill 2 and wound the 3rd. And then you heal that back, boom, they're back up to full, and you res them all in front. Now 4 of them are charging you with extra distance. And it just goes really bad. I think they're good. I think they're solid. They're good in Black Legion too, because you get +1 to hit on the charge, which is phenomenal on them. I think they're either in strong choice.
I think it's strong choice.
Not.
I think they're hanging out with that Demon Prince in strong choice.
That's probably where I put them.
Yeah.
All right, Rubric Marines.
All right. At the beginning of this tier list video, I saw the Rubric Marines, the Death Guard, the Corn Berserkers, and the Noise Marines. Not the Noise Marines. And I was like, can Chaos Space Marines even take them? And Jack was like, technically, but also why?
No, not technically, but also why. You can. They just suck generally worse than in their respective legions. There are some benefits that you can talk about.
So what happens if I take Rubric Marines in my Chaos Space Marine?
Okay, so you don't get a Legion trait, which kind of sucks, but you do get the ability to get your Warp Flamers at +2 hits.
Because they're Chaos Space Marines.
Because they're Chaos Space Marines, and they
That's
get that.
pretty
They get that, but you can't teleport them around. So like, I would still say they're worse than in Thousand Suns, but they're not
It's
bad.
just a different way to run all these units.
It is for sure. Like advancing them around and flaming people with a whole bunch of AP2 flamers. I mean, what is that like, Nick?
Oh, Jack. It's Tantalus time.
It's Tantalus time.
I would say the Rubric Marines in Chaos Space Marines, having not really given it too much thought to be fair, are probably a balanced choice.
That's probably where I'd put them. I'm not
in love with it. I'm sure I could explore it and come up with something creative and build around it. But like,
why? Short killing stuff that's near your army is just not what.
Yeah, I don't need to invest really heavily in flamers to flame the things in front of me. I'm just gonna charge that.
I mean, I don't hate mass flamers in CSM. They're good at it.
Maybe there's a build that runs 3 units these with flamers and just lets that be a thing. I could see it.
It is cheap. They did get a lot cheaper.
Yeah, they got cheaper. And you got the spells, so you don't... Like, they kind of 2-for-1 your Legionnaires. You could replicate this unit with Legionnaires that just have the tome, but you just don't have to.
Yeah.
They're not core, right? They won't be core in any army?
They're not core.
So they won't unlock your cultist troops. You'd still have to take your Legionnaires or something else.
Yeah.
Which would be...
It is a real problem.
Yeah.
It's a bigger one, I think, for Plague Marines.
Well, Plague Marines I actually don't mind as much because they get all their weapons for free. So imagine you take those crazy units I've been running and just walk around the table with, like, Abaddon rerolls and stuff.
Oh, they might be core. Because it doesn't say they lose core, and they're core in their respective datasheet.
Oh. So maybe they're core.
Maybe they are.
If they're core, that helps them a lot because then they're actually quite good.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad. They don't get a Legion trait.
I think Plague Marines with the weapon choices being free is just too much value, and that's got to be a strong choice if you can take it, right? 300 point units for the price of 200.
The other way around.
No.
Oh, I see what you mean. They're fine. They're just slow.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't know. You can heal in this army. You can't heal. Do they get in the Legion? They don't get in the Legion, right?
They gain Legion.
So they get the keyword, they don't get the benefit. So you can heal them, you can chapter master them, you can do all those rules to them.
Yeah.
These things are strong choices.
So they gain Chaos, their respective god, Heretic Astartes, Traitors Astartes, and Legion. And they don't lose core. So that is nice.
That's great. You can fill your troops with cultists by taking these things. They're awesome because they get all their weapons for free. They get all of your rerolls because you're right. Put them right in there.
All right, I'm being sold on that. They are slow, which kind of sucks.
You build your army around the fact that you're making it out of models that move 5.
They're pretty good in Fabius Bio because you can advance and charge them for 1 CP. It's the only way to do it. Only way to do it.
Jack with the snacks. You can take no, that's it. Okay. Whoop, whoop.
Unless I'm missing something.
I don't think you are. We got to chat for that.
They also get the mark.
Yeah, they definitely get the mark.
They must be upgraded to have the mark, so they do cost more.
Whatever.
But still, like...
Do they benefit from the mark?
Oh, yeah.
So that's -1 to wound Plague Marines.
I mean, if you're Strength 5 or Strength 10 plus.
There's a lot of Strength 5.
There is.
Strength 5 is the new Strength 4.
In Fabius Bile, I think they are, like, way up here. I'm actually excited to see what you do with them. Yeah.
You know what I'm excited for, though? To see what Mark is doing with these Emperor's Children Noise Marines. I am loving, and I do mean loving, the 5-man units with the Blastmaster and a Power Fist. I think that's an amazing unit.
How many points is that?
120?
It's not bad. Not bad. They're 21 points apiece. So 105, then 120.
Maybe 125. I think it's 120. I don't know. We've got the book right in front of us. But I think it's an awesome unit. It gives Chaos shooting in a lot of ways it wouldn't otherwise be able to get shooting, meaning it's got a good gun on 1 out of 5 models, so lots of bullet catchers that can just sprinkle around the table. Great range bracket on these things, and you can revive stuff. I've been utterly impressed by the Noise Marines, like through and through.
I'm still waiting to be impressed. They're not a bad unit, though.
I think they're a strong choice. I think they're towards the bottom of strong choices, not the bottomest bottom. I think they're right around there.
I think Huron and Lucius can come down. I'm sold.
Yeah, they're not keeping up.
No, it's just every time I'm like, oh,
they're not keeping up.
They're not keeping up.
I think the Prince is kind of like not. I think the Prince can go down to the bottom of this.
Chat has pointed out that you can get -2 damage Plague Marines in Iron Warriors.
Plague Marines that don't die are very strong.
Damage 3 goes to damage 1. Oh, that's ludicrous.
That is crazy. -1 to wound damage.
They're 135 with Icon, Power Fist, and Blastmaster, which is so expensive.
I don't hate it. I've used only because
kind of do.
Only because it's been used against me so effectively. I don't think it's bad.
Their bottom is strong choice. Bottom is strong choice.
You could skip the Power Fist. I think that's skippable.
Yeah,
you'd also skip the Icon, and then it's 120. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
I think that is because 5 for the Icon, 10 for the Power Fist. All right, Khorne Berserkers. I am going to be honest. I have not read the rules for them, and I don't know what they do.
Well,
Tell me.
I played against World Eaters. Mark's new White Dwarf World Eaters. He used that against me in the war. That's a really awesome game. We played against my craft worlds. You can check that out. There's a link below also to the war room. They are basically exactly the same as before, but everybody gained a wound, which is exactly what Chaos Space Marines needed across the board.
Yeah.
So they're fine. I think they're a perfectly balanced unit. They hit stuff really hard. They can apply so many buffs to really hit stuff very hard. Even 2 of them is incredibly threatening to most squads.
Yeah.
And they're not like Stiff Breeze just kills them anymore.
That's pretty dope. Let's go like that.
Yeah, I think so. With Cypher, get back here. Cypher is way too far up. He's the bottom of this balance thing.
He's better than sorcerers. Cultists are up here.
I would take a sorcerer over Cypher.
Internal balance is all wonky in here. All right, Hellbrute.
Mark loves Hellbrutes. No, they not...
move 6 inches, my man.
Okay.
I've played with these things. They have been ludicrously bad every single time.
I have too. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Like, unbelievably bad.
So the theory behind the Hellbrew is like you can put it out there on an objective, and again, it'll require a response from your opponent that's stronger than the response required to kill 5-10 cultists or 5 Chaos Space Marines. It's -1 damage now. So it's just like, and it's armor contempt. So like, your opponent brings out some real guns to kill your stupid Hellbrute, and then, trade war. But like...
It's just not how it works.
Who cares? It
Also,
does not matter.
CSM can't capitalize on your opponent exposing their big guns because you don't have big guns in response.
Yeah.
So they'll just shoot that thing dead and they'll be like, okay, and then
you have to continue to walk at them.
Yeah, or they put something on the point and the Hellbrute's like, I hadn't thought about that.
It's not bad if your whole army, like as your backfield objective holder, because it's like, I will be scary at something that comes and kills it. But it's also not scary at something because it doesn't reroll stuff because your buff characters probably aren't there. And then it's easy to kill. It's not OBSEC. It's one model. What does it do?
The idea behind it is that it like operates by itself and
Yeah.
can like hold down like it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
It does not kill anything by itself. It has terrible guns. It has mediocre close combat at best, and it's not actually that durable.
And if your opponent decides it's going to die, it's going to die.
Yeah, and your opponent can also decide to move a slight distance away from it. It's like, oh, let me catch up.
If it was like more than...
It's like 120 or something stupid.
All right, I'm done with the Hellbrute.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it is 105 base, but in order to get it to do anything, and I mean anything at all, you have to make it like 120.
All right, so then we've got Raptors, which I think are actually quite good. They're cheap. They're
I think
fast.
in Black Legion specifically.
In Black Legion, they're tournament staples. You're just including them in Black Legion because you have access to Harkin, and then Abaddon gives them full rerolls. They're like discount.
Harkin gives them full rerolls to hit and wound.
Yeah, they both do. They're discount warp talents in Black Legion. In not Black Legion, they're nice little skirmishy units, kind of like Assault Marines, because 5 of them, or even like a 6 or 7 man, can hit decently hard. You give them flamers, and then they can clear chaff really effectively because flamers are 5 points, and you get d6 plus 2 shots.
Yeah, that's pretty not bad.
You can give your sergeant thing. They can also take Mark and Corn, Mark the Mark of Demon, and then Icon. So they get really hitty, and they could have access to advance and charge.
Absolutely, which is a big deal.
It's a big deal. They are a very utility-esque unit, and I think that's very useful.
Yeah, Mark of Corn makes them very, very solid.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot take an icon.
They can get an icon?
Cannot take an icon.
Okay, so they won't get the extra AP, which is a big deal. They won't get +1 hit for being a Slaanesh, which does take them down a little bit. But I think access to advance and charge is still super strong.
Yeah.
In Fabius Bile, they move 13, strength 5.
Which is nice.
And then Black Legion, they're crazy.
I think they go about like hereish.
I was gonna say they're the bottom of strong choice because they move fast. The movement is a big problem to this army if you don't take the 3 units that move.
That's true. Movement is a thing.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Warpedy Talons.
These, unless you're Black Legion, are better Raptors.
Yes.
Because they re-roll their wounds, and if you're Word Bearers, they re-roll their hits.
Yep, rerolling hits and wounds and word bearers is a hell of a drug. And then even in Black Legion, they're +1 to hit and they reroll wounds, which is still just great by itself. Like, you don't need buffs to make them good.
In Fabius Bile, their strength 5 fight on death, which is crazy land. In Emperor's Children, they can deep strike charge super reliably.
They're not core.
They can deep strike charge super reliably if you're Mark.
No, actually, I think it's Demonkin as well. Get it? Somebody was saying that.
Let's find out. This is Honor the Prince we're looking up right here. If Honor the Prince works on this stuff, it's really good.
Yeah.
I think Warp Talons are great. If you're either including Warp Talons and Raptors or both.
Demonkin, so it does work on them.
I don't imagine a Chaos Space unit that skips both of them. Even like if you're trying to do like, let's take maximum Demon Dungeon as a Chaos Space runner, you're still going to include these things because you have to interact with walls.
Yeah. They're just solid.
It's your best answer for flyers, honestly, aside from some weird shooting builds. Like, it's just strong choice. Strong choice. But ahead of the Prince. Ahead of the Plague Prince.
Okay, all right.
Ahead of all that stuff. But the top is strong choice. Yeah, right around there. Ahead of the Cursed Cultists. Screw those guys.
Oh, Cursed Cultists are super good, man.
So are Warp Talons. They're in every army.
All right, speaking of something that is insane.
What is Zero to Hero? What Venom Crawlers? Who remembers this was a unit?
I played against it at a random RTT.
I played against the ones of GT.
And my opponent had 2 of them, and he's like, all right, so here's the plan. This Venom Crawler kills that Warglaive. This Venom Crawler kills that Warglaive in shooting. I'm like, damn, do these things really hit that hard? And then I looked at their stats, and they did like 1 wound apiece. They shot not at all, and then their combat was trash.
I just ignored them until they were the only thing left to kill.
Yeah, well, I killed them first because they were easy to kill. Neither of those problems is a good thing to have.
But that's not the case anymore. Now they're a clean 105. That's like ridiculously cheap for a faster moving Hellbrute, a harder hitting Hellbrute, a better Hellbrute, access to -1 damage Hellbrute from the strat. So it is a Hellbrute, but it's faster and cheaper. And then it's got a good gun. And just because, why not? It's got an aura of +1 to cast.
A 9-inch aura
A
for
9-inch
no
aura.
reason.
What is this thing?
Its guns got better. Its durability got better. Got access to -1 damage.
It's faster. It hits hard. I don't think it's tournament staple.
It feels like a tournament staple to me.
So maybe I just used it the one. No, it's really good.
It's really good. It's really good.
Okay.
105 is like it feels like a crime every time.
To
I
me,
take
it's like as good as Warp Talons because like it competes with Warp Talons, and I always don't know which one I want to take.
And it's 35 points cheaper.
They're so different as units.
They are. They're very different. But 3 Venom Crawlers is just a nuts fast attack slot.
3 Venom Crawlers is a hyper efficient fast attack slot, but you want to build your army out of 1 battalion because taking 2 detachments sucks and brigades are not a thing. And then if you take 3 Venom Crawlers, you have no Raptors or Warp Talons, and we already decided that's a no-no.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. Like, as you said, like, they compete against each other. So, I think, personally, Venom Crawler is, like, top of the heap. But you might decide you want to take a couple Raptors or some Warp Talons instead. But, personally, 3 Venom Crawlers is just nuts.
I think I would take if I had one of those 2 units I could take, I would take the Flying Infantry one over the Venom Crawler.
After playing with it, I probably would take Venom Crawler.
Let's put them next to each other there, and then let the world decide. Okay.
All right.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Which one's better, Warp Talons or Venom Crawlers?
You do run out of fast attack slots very fast, tellable. It's nuts because all 3 of those choices are great, and you're just taking 3.
We're not even done with the fast though. We got bikes, which are actually not bad. They're super fast. They're good for move blocking. In Black Legion, they get full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound, and Loyalty's Reward, which is like a favorite relic ever because you put it on the Black Legion Bolter
Does
Sergeant.
some mortals.
And then it does an average of 4 to 5 mortals when you shoot it 24 inches away to whatever you're shooting at.
No, to Imperium.
No, against Imperium, it's going to average 5, and then against something else, you're going to average like 4.
You have to wound it.
Okay, so here's how it works.
Okay.
It's a 4-shot gun because you're upgrading the bolter on your Chaos Space Marine bike. And then every time you hit an Imperial unit, it just takes a mortal wound. And the other part to this rule is every time you wound a non-Imperial unit, it just takes a mortal wound. The thing that it's got full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound because Abaddon just said so. And then you're in the Wonton of Massacre.
Destruction or Massacre.
Destruction.
Both
So
rapid fire.
turns 1 or 2 or even 3 potentially. You're going to have exploding 6s to hit. So your 4 shots rerolling hits.
Abaddon, I believe, can also put you back into it.
So you're always going to have your 4 shots rerolling hits being exploding 6s. That's going to average 5 hits. 5 mortals to an Imperial unit. Boom, done. And then against a non-Imperial unit, you're re-rolling wounds. I gave you 4 to 5. If you're shooting something and you're rolling on 5s or 6s, maybe you don't get quite that many. If you're shooting a little elf thing, it's already as good as 5 mortal wounds right to that.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, this thing is awesome.
If you're shooting at little elf things, though, they probably disappear to bolters either way.
Well, you can shoot the entire elf army with a 9-man unit of these.
And then they do go away.
And then the entire elf army is dead. Bikes are amazing if you build around them. Especially in Zinch, you make them AP2, and then they actually just slap everything with reroll wounds. If you don't build around them, you can run 3-mans as little skirmishers, but again, super crowded fast attack slots.
Yeah. You don't really have the space to be. I could see a patrol and an outrider being a thing, but oh my god, is that so many CP down when you're
It's a build
rolling
choice. It's a build
yeah.
choice. I think they are a balanced unit or a strong unit, depending on how you build for them.
I think they're going to be imbalanced, personally. I'm never excited about them, and they are
Let's
distinctly the
move
fourth
Huron.
choice.
I think Huron's too high. I think Huron is below Lucius and the Bikes. And the Chaos Legionnaires. And the Cultists.
Nope. That's where we're stopping.
That's where you're stopping.
That's where we're stopping. Solo Spawn.
See how far
Go.
I can get. Solo Spawn. All right. So this guy's the money in the bank because Chaos Space Marines, they just need some dude to sit there and hold an objective, and he's 25 points. Large units of spawn also quite good now because they have a rule that lets them heal every time they get sneezed at. So basically, anytime you activate your unit shooting and you finish your damage, if I have a damage spawn that hasn't been destroyed, he just heals all its wounds. One of the most effective ways to kill Chaos Spawn is just like chip it away with like garbage shots that take no commitment or effort. And
Because they have a crap save.
Just toughness 5. You just do some damage, they'll fail their saves, and it'll add up over time. Now it doesn't add up over time. Now it's negligible. So you have to devote real blast cannons, melta guns, combat resource to killing these things, and that sucks. You don't want to do that. They're Chaos Spawn.
But it's like 100% the 5th best fast attack in a very overcrowded fast attack slot.
And this is where we get back to that patrol outrider Bill Jack was just talking about. Something to explore, but I think they're a balanced choice. They're great for what they're good at. So is everything else they're competing with.
All right. Well, doing this makes me really want to move some of these down to flawed choice.
Well, we'll get there when we get there. I don't think sorcerers are flawed. I think they make sense.
I'm moving the Terminator Sorcerer down.
They're the same.
They are literally more expensive for
they
the same thing.
They are the same unit.
Nope. Moving on. Defiler. It's mine. I'm in control here, Nick.
Oh, what a defiler. He defiles.
He not well though.
So Crabman sucks.
Crabman bad, I think.
Crabman, so real clunky to move around board.
Yeah.
Big claws, super move block, allergic to terrain, doesn't interact with ruins.
Very
hates forests,
very expensive.
Very price.
Not great damage.
He hits on 3s now until he gets degraded.
Yep, and then that's kind of... I mean, you have access to -1 damage, which is dope. But, like, his weapons are a twin heavy flamer, a twin heavy bolter.
He's a demon
D6
engine.
shot battle cannon that's AP2. Like...
He's like a weird hybrid, better Dreadnought demon engine. He's like a combination of a Mauler Fiend and a Venom Crawler and a Dreadnought, and he's like the worst parts of all 3 of them.
Pretty much. I think boop.
Why? Well, because they're so cool. And why do they suck, GW?
Yeah. It's too big, it's too expensive. I agree with Mr. X. All right, Forge Fiend.
He forges the Fiend. So I tried 3 of them. I had an adventure. I first forgot you had to pay for their weapons. So I was like, 3 of them at 115 are just straight broken. And Jack was like, Nick. And then...
Nick, you have to buy the weapons. You're like, doesn't that automatically include the weapons it comes with? And I'm like, when has it ever been like that?
Plague
Nick?
Marines, Jack. It's the new rage. Before we finish my ranting about this Forge...
So you thought they were 115. I'm like, they're 155 base. And you're like...
I want to acknowledge Matt O's super chat because thank you so much for your $10 donation. Need reps myself, but Chaos Armies seem to want the same buffs, Mop, Abaddon, etc. everywhere. Can you just attack the spots they are not buffed when they do send Repentia-style missiles behind walls?
Or do they send... Yeah, can you figure out where they're not buffed and hit that? Or do they just put all the buffs on one unit, send it out, put all the buffs on one unit, send it out? It's kind of a combination of both.
So there's different ways to play Chaos as we're going through. One way to play is you put all your defensive buffs on like something like the 10 Trojan or the 10 Terminators, -1 to wound, feel no pain, send them out there, put only hit on 4s, no rerolls, and just let that be the center of the board and black hole for damage. The whole army tries to kill it doesn't even die. That's one way to play Chaos. Another way is to have a lot of independently decent units around the board because all your baseline stats are good with that extra wound and the extra 9th edition stats. So having a lot of all combat capable units all over the place allows you to be vulnerable in various spots, but through interrupts and fight on death and heroics and fight last, you can work right through that as another counterplay to Repentia. It really depends on your style.
Yeah.
That one would be more interested in putting all the buffs onto an offensive unit, sending it out like your own missile and just slamming something.
No, he's not. He's saying Repentia style, not specifically beating Repentia.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, the Forge Fiend. So when Nick thought it was 115 for some reason, it was pretty good. And I'll agree. 115 point Forge Fiend. It's pretty good.
Still tried it at 155 or whatever they cost with the plasma
155,
cannons.
yep.
I think I ran all plasma cannons.
You ran 3 of them, and it did nothing.
They were Garbage.
I just straight up ignored them the entire game, and Nick was like, "Damn, I had not anticipated this."
Jack was like, I shoot Jack, you don't shoot. Like, this is the way to play chaos, because now you have to come into me and you're taking casualties, then I'm going to beat you up in combat. He literally, I was playing 1500 versus 2000. That's what happened.
Yeah, I just was like, all right, those don't exist. I'm going to pretend they don't exist, and every so often they're going to kill a model.
Between the three of them, I killed like 3 models in my entire shooting phase, and then Jack would heal 1.
Yep.
No, you know where they go.
They don't go to YGWY. They're not as bad as a Defiler, but they're bottom of flawed choice. They're not good.
Put it ahead of the Warpsmith. Thank you.
Yeah, you really don't like that boy.
Put it ahead of the Chaos. No, the Terminator Lord is cool. He's a strong choice.
Havocs.
These are actually not bad. I like Havocs.
They're not bad. They're cheap.
They're cheap. They're cheap, and they got the Space Marine stat line, which is good these days. They're still T5, but you're still T5.
They're still T5. They ignore the hit penalties for moving, which is dope. And they have slightly... Their weapons are all cheap.
Do they get access to flamers?
They do not.
I would love to run a 5-man Havoc unit with 4 flamers with the +2 and just let it rip.
So what they get access to, I believe they're... So they get access to Havoc autocannon, heavy bolter, las cannon, missile launcher, and a Reaper chain cannon.
I do remember the heavy autocannon units, just max heavy autocannons, are like really cheap.
They're 125, and they're +1 AP over a regular autocannon.
That is like better than the Noise Marines, but not OPSEC.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar.
It's core. You can mark them, but you're not going to because you would want the icon, and you can't take an icon, sadly.
I think they're a balanced choice. I think they're fine.
I think they're perfectly balanced. They're
aggressively fine.
Yeah, they're super fine.
Put them in between the Rubrics and Corn Berserkers.
Fine.
I like that.
Rubrics can get warp timed and shoot.
Switch the Rubrics with the Corn Berserkers.
You're going mad with power, Nick.
Perfect.
They're fine. And las cannons are 5 points. Missile launchers are 5 points. Reaper chain cannons are 5 points. So they're cheap.
They're cheap. They're cheap, and that's cheap bodies in this army is just a valuable way to approach the build.
Yeah, you can take a 145 unit with 4 Reapers. You can take a 145 unit with 4 las cannons. Like, none of that's going to excite me, but none of it's bad.
No, I think the las cannons make it too pricey. We've missed the plot. I think the Reapers don't do anything because Armor Contempt World. And I think autocannons give you the range that Chaos is missing.
I mean, if you want to kill chaff like you were talking about before, for 1 unit with 4 Reaper autocannons, like every chaff is dead.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's not a bad way of just picking up garbage.
You can warp time them around the board, and I think they've got play.
They got play.
I think they're imperfectly balanced pretty convincingly.
Yubbles also has play with his $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Yubbles. How does Chaos Space Marines deal with flyers? That's a great question.
2 ways. Neither one of which is amazing. 1, you shoot them. 2, you charge them with Raptors or Warp Talons. Or Demon Prince.
Yeah, the flyers in general, you shoot them, you charge them, or you're tough enough to ignore them. Chaos Space Marines over time is not tough enough to ignore the scariest of planes, so that will just add up too quickly. So you do have to kill them. You basically have to build in guns, which there are only so many options. Havocs and Noise Marines being 2 of them, which we've also been like about. We're getting to the rest of them. And then you can set up charges. This is another reason Harkin is so awesome, because he is a flying character capable of killing a flyer, so he's not just going to get shot by the flyer first.
Yeah.
Demon Princes, I think this is a good value add to the Demon Prince, because it can just go kill a flyer and not get shot by the flyer first. Cypher can shoot a flyer with plasma pistols. All right.
Moving on. Something that can try and help deal with the flyer is the Land Raider.
All right. Land Raiders, I think, have finally gone full circle into playable. They're toughness 9 now. Armor Content is a thing. And Iron Warriors, you can make them even better. You can make them no reroll wounds against them.
They just are no rerolls. You don't have to spend anything. Yeah, they just are no rerolls.
It's like, it can... I actually would use it to deliver a unit to close combat by driving forward, shooting las cannons. I'd actually want to protect it with things that can heroic intervene, like Master Executions, like 2 of them sandwiching a Land Raider. The Land Raider protects them from being shot. They protect the Land Raider from getting move blocked or charged, because 6-inch heroics on something that'll just kill whatever. It's a build around your army type of thing. I don't think it's the best way to play Chaos, but it solves a lot of weird problems Chaos has.
Its guns are also decent. You really do want to take a Warp Smith if you're taking a Land Raider.
I'm not doing it. Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not. You can't make me. You won't.
Their guns are D6 plus 2 damage, and I'd really like that to hit on 2s.
I think this is better than Cypher.
I think you're right. I could even put it above the spawn.
No, I love this.
No,
Jack.
you
Love the Spawn.
you stretched a little too far. You flew a
Jack,
little
you
too close to
cannot
the sun.
Spawn put the Spawn tournament
Nope.
stable.
Think of this as a moral lesson, right? You flew too high, and it hurt the ones you care about.
Are you
the
really
Spawn.
putting the Land Raider ahead of the Spawn right now? Think about what you're doing. In the
Is
picture.
one spot that important to you, Nick?
The Spawn spot is
Mauler friend.
Jack. Moving on.
Moving on.
Oh my god. Mauler friend. These guys are so friendly and cuddly, cute and punchy. This is like a Venom crawler, but like its big brother that hits way harder.
Yeah, this guy, he hits.
He hits, especially in
hits.
Word Bears with those reroll hits.
Especially in Word Bears with reroll hits, or if you have a Lord Discordant to give him +1 to hit in melee, or if you're Black Legion for +1 to hit. And then he hits. He has 6 attacks. He's going to have Exploding Sixes to hit at Strength 14, AP3 damage, D3 +3. And then you take Lasher Tendrils, and he has 6 more hits at Strength 7, AP2 damage 1. And that's crazy.
There's absolutely a list that's built around Cursed Earth and taking 3 of these and taking 3 Venom Crawlers and just 3 Disco Lords and
Yep, I think you take.
opponent.
I think the list basically builds itself. You take a Master of Possessions, 2 Disco Lords, 3 Venom Crawlers, 3 Mauler Fiends, multiple of the Forge World, the Forge World Dreadnought, Demon Dreadnought thing, and you take it with the claws that have the inbuilt damage 2 flamer apiece, so they each get +2 damage or +2 shots.
I would actually take Helldrakes in that army, which we'll get to.
I mean, wow.
Mark ran double Helldrake against me and it died turn 1, but it did stuff. Like, it also didn't have to die turn 1.
I think the
they were
Mauler
pretty
Fiend
useful.
slots into Perfectly Balanced. His damage output is good, and access to -1 damage means he's just harder to deal with than your opponent really wants.
I think he's perfectly balanced right above Terminators. I think he's better than Terminators.
I could see that. I think both of us have lost some opinion. Like, our opinion of Terminators has gone down since the book's release.
I've never been a
after
big
playing
Terminator
with them
fan in Chaos. I always found them to be a little bit don't do anything.
That's what it is. Tellable. It's a Decimator with a Hellflamer.
Obviously.
Yep, and you get the claws. Well, it's the Hellflamers are in the claws, so you get good combat and you get good shooting.
All
With
right,
flamers.
Jack, we need to move the Spawn to the top rank of perfectly balanced. Just figure out who's coming down. No, I will not continue this tier list if the Spawn remain there.
Okay, that's okay. I will. Obliterators are definitely a tournament staple. You should take them in every list. I don't care. I'm just seeing how long Nick can hold out. So they're actually probably better than Harker.
I lose. Jack, get them down. Because I can't do this anymore. I cannot. I was going to let you do the entire Obliterators on your own and protest, but I cannot.
I knew how to break you real fast. So what's your opinion on Obliterators?
All right. I have always hated Obliterators. I've hated them since always and every edition and everyone. It's a meme at this point. I will try to do this as unbiasedly as possible, but do understand that I hate Obliterators.
I know. You always have.
So these things are better than they ever have been. They got better stats. They're not ludicrously overcosted. They fixed their I don't know what my stats are problem, which was
I don't know. I knew what they are every time they shoot at me, which is always going to be Strength 9 AP 3 damage.
They have 3 different modes of shooting. One of them is like tons of shots, like 6 plus D6 per guy, so that's quite reliable.
9 plus D6.
9 plus, oh my god, 9 plus D6 per guy is quite reliable. The other one is 3 plus.
So it's 9 plus D6, Strength 5 AP1 damage 1. Mm-hmm. 3 plus D3, Strength 7 AP2 damage 2.
So like 4 to 6 autocannons per guy, basically.
Yeah. Or D3 shots, Strength 9 AP3 damage 4.
So I hate that profile because D3 shots is some garbage. But when I've been shot by that, Mark and Jack roll well, so that sucks for me. The other 2 profiles I actually quite like, but AP1 and AP2 is not the most potent thing in the game right now. I think as a shooting unit that Chaos desperately needs, they have a home because they are less garbage than before. They can also be healed by the mop, so can everything else, but they're a good value heal.
Yeah,
and
5 wounds, toughness 5, 2 up armor of contempt. Like, they're very annoying to put away.
And just like telling your opponent, yeah, I'm going to erase your chip damage and heal a model is like, yeah, I'm not going to get started. So for that reason, I do tolerate them. I hate everything else about them, though.
Yeah, I get that. They do tend to just punch, because they punch 2. Like, they do hit. They have Strength 10, AP3, damage 2, 4 attacks apiece. So they hit, they shoot all game, because they're really annoying to deal with.
The fact that they hit means you can't just bump into them to shut them up, and that's
they also
important.
shoot in combat.
Yeah. So you can't really shut them up except for line of sight. And because Chaos doesn't have any guns, it's not a bad first gun.
They are very expensive, but like CSM just needs some shooting. They just do. They need shooting. And so you're willing to go to places other armies won't.
I will put them in balanced and hate it.
That sounds about right.
Below the spawn. Below the spawn, Jack.
Nope.
I hate you.
Fight me. All right. The Predator. I was going to make a picture because I took all the pictures for this off the internet, and I was going to make a separate one for the Land Raider Annihilator and Land Raider Destructor.
The Predator?
Sure. The Predator Destructor and the Predator Annihilator. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. They're both equally crap. Like, one is slightly more crap than the other one, but
I really don't know why they keep just making the Predator awful. It hasn't been good since 5th edition, and it's just a matter of like make its points lower or make its stats better or give it like a rule.
They did make its stats better. The Las Cannon one, for whatever reason, is the cheaper one. I checked. And it's
better one.
It is D6 plus 2 damage on its main guns. Not the upgraded las cannons you can put on the side. Just its main ones. And that one is 130, and the one with the crap autocannon is 130.
This
140,
thing is right below the Warpsmith. Like, I don't think it's YGWY. I mean, I am
like so
I am
on the
asking
edge.
why you've neglected it. I am asking you that, but I'm not asking why does it, like,
The
it has an
autocannon-
identity. I know what it's trying to do.
The autocannon variant would be like bottom of YGWY. It's 2d3 shots, strength 7, AP 1, damage 3 for 140.
All right, yeah, that's just trash.
That's
That's
straight up
straight
trash.
What about the Vindicator, though? Is this straight trash?
No, it's not. It's fine. It's not like amazing or anything.
Doesn't
It's,
get me out of bed in the morning.
No, it's toughness 8. You can give it a Siege Shield to make it 2-up save. With Armor of Contempt, it's 12 wounds. Like, it's chunky. And its Demolisher Siege Cannon went from D6 shots to heavy D3 plus 3 blast.
That helps.
Yeah.
It's only D6 damage, and I say that because D6 damage to me is like 1.
I wish it wasn't blast, because blast is technically an offensive power, but it's 24-inch range, which means you're getting tagged in combat, and then you're not doing anything.
I don't mind that because I think you can build a Chaos Army that's like screening with Vindicators and basically tempting your opponent to come and tag them, and then you're like, I get to charge your entire army now.
That's true. I don't think they're bad. D3 plus 3 is a thing they needed, because when you're rolling your shots and you roll a 1, you're like, I just didn't shoot.
Yeah, I mean, D6 damage and D3 plus 3 shots is still on the volatile side, but at least you have a shot floor.
And when you use your CP reroll on the damage, you know the wound's already gone through.
Yeah,
which is a way,
that's true.
which is very different to like, oh, I rolled 2 shots, I rerolled, I got 3. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
it's 140, I believe.
so it's 130 with the Sea Shield. It's an extra 10. I don't think I would take the Sea Shield.
I think you take the siege. Just plus 1 armor save?
Plus 1 armor save.
So then you have a 1-up save with armor contempt?
Yeah, but I mean the point is these things are just obnoxious to try to kill.
Yeah.
Rather than like I'm trying to make them as cheap as possible.
10 points for plus 1 armor save, I think, is value add.
Iron Warriors can have Vindicators shoot in combat. That is good, because that's where I'd want to take them is in Iron Warriors.
I don't hate the Vindicator. I think you can build around it. I think it's below the spawn, but still balanced.
I think the Vindicator is balanced and definitely below the spawn.
And the spawn are above the Land Raider.
Nope.
And Cypher.
Rhino.
And Obliterators.
Chaos Rhino. I've gone rogue, Nick.
And I'm the one who's mad with power. The Rhino, I actually think kind of sucks in regular Chaos Space Marines, because I hate putting 2 on Chaos Space Marines into Rhinos and letting the Rhino die. I really never want to emergency disembark, which I think is one of the best value adds to a transport. And the Rhino is like it's a good transport because it's not that expensive and it's like humble, but it's not no raider.
You have the ability. Yeah, okay, if that's who you're comparing transports to. Yeah, the Rhino.
Like, if you could put intercessors in a Rhino, would you?
No,
Okay.
I never do.
And this is the same thing.
I know. If you need trash, you can do way better than a Rhino, which is like the main reason people take Rhinos or things like that is because, I need an extra unit, or I'm sisters and I will evaporate if I don't have it.
Yeah, as regular Space Marines with 2 wounds are basically immune to small arms fire, the same way Rhinos are like not really vulnerable to small arms fire, and they're equally as vulnerable to like medium and high strength fire. So, if anything, the Rhino is even more vulnerable to like a las cannon, because at most you lose 2 to 3 wounds when you get shot by one of those. A Rhino's like, oh no, you're 6.
Ah!
I think the Rhino is a great unit in the game, but Chaos Space Marines don't care about it.
No, they don't want it at all.
It's not YGWY. It's just not. It doesn't have balance within this codex.
I guess it's flawed choice.
It's just flawed. It's not the bottom. Get that above the Predator, above the Warpsmith.
These do things. The Rhino does not.
A Predator and a Rhino will do the same amount of stuff in the game, but the Rhino will be 60 points cheaper.
The Predator is 50 points more and also has a gun.
The gun.
And that's what you take him for.
You're going to take him and use him like a Rhino because the gun is garbage. Put the Rhino by the Mauler Fiend. The Forge Fiend.
Fine.
Yeah.
I'm under the Warp Smith.
No, not under the Warp Smith.
You might actually take the Warp Smith. If you're taking Vindicators and you're taking all this stuff, like, I think he goes... I would 100% consider taking before Lords and Champions and nonsense like that. In an Iron Warriors list where you're taking Vindicators and you're taking Land Raiders, maybe, and I mean probably not, but maybe, and you're doing all that stuff, I'm taking a Warp Smith.
What if you take a Lord of Skulls?
Well, he's great in Iron Warriors because you can't No, I did eventually figure out that he doesn't get a trait unless you take a full... Like,
3 of them?
Unless you take 3 of them.
All right, triple Lord of Skulls, turn
Triple
Staples.
Lord of Skulls. It did eventually happen. I did eventually realize he doesn't get a trait, which, I mean, does make him worse. But Iron Warriors still have great buffs for him. The Warpsmith 100% goes in that list. He's going up a couple more slots.
Why is he's not ahead of Fabius Bile? Give the man some respect.
Fabius Bile literally doesn't do anything.
Give the man some respect.
Fine, Bill can go up here. That guy goes down here.
That's just insulting.
I mean, you got what you wanted.
Fine.
So it's fine. It's like decent as a build around because it's a big boy with big boy shooting, very tough to kill, has access to -1 damage for an insane amount of CP, but like you're gonna spend it.
I mean, I don't know anything about this. I don't play Lords of Skulls. I don't know where they go.
The definite antithesis of the Nick play style. Also, not my play style either. I like to tend to push you with a lot of units rather than one giant brick of a model that tries to like bash its way into your deployment zone. It's good at shooting. It's good at combat. It's good at that sort of like being bigger than a knight and absorbing a bunch of buffs thing. It's not bad. I think it's imperfectly balanced somewhere. I just have literally
put it
no
above
idea.
the Land Raider.
It is definitely better than the Land Raider.
Okay.
It's fine. Like, it absorbs a bunch of buffs. It is completely obnoxious to kill.
Put the spawn above Lord of Skulls.
Stop.
All right, we got the Hell.
Fine.
Jack with the snacks.
I mean, that is true. I was just trolling Nick.
Now let's get the spawn on the top row.
No. No. It's not passing a blitz. Purely to spite you.
That literally hurts me.
Helldrake.
Helldrakes are weird, all right?
They're weird. They're not... They're kind of in the place where they're not really good at anything, but they move fast.
Yeah, so they don't... They're decently tough to kill tank, but not like unkillable. Just like it's not going to sneeze and die. It's got a Bale Flamer, which is something Chaos likes. It's decent at combat, not great at it, but it can hold its own. It probably won't kill an entire unit because it's got 5 attacks and the rerolls.
It'll make people not just like charge it with something that won't kill it, but then you're a flyer. You can't really do that anyway. Like, it's
between your Flamer plus a charge,
whatever.
You can kill a 5-man pretty sometimes. Not every time.
What are we doing here, Nick?
I'm not done yet. It's not terrible. It can go kill a character if someone leaves a character hanging, which is a mistake people make a lot.
Yeah.
What I think its real value is that it moves crazy far. So it can swing flanks really well because Chaos is an army with no shooting at long range, like very, very little options for that. Blastmasters and Havocs, Land Raider. So the Helldrake being able to just move and then apply guns and then charge something is kind of like a replication of long range shooting.
It kind of is, but you're putting yourself out to get hit on the response, and these things are not as durable, and they really don't hit in combat.
No, but
their strength 5 attacks of strength 7, AP 2, damage 2. Where they are decent is killing aircraft because they go to damage 4 against aircraft. The main problem with that is they have a gigantic base, and your opponent's just not going to let you touch their aircraft.
Remember though, that's like if the aircraft's still in the deployment zone. Like you can just like have 2 Helldrakes, let's say, and if your opponent is dealing with aircrafts, which we have identified as a weakness to Chaos.
It is a weakness.
You know, after your planes take literally their first movement phase, if it doesn't down both of my Helldrakes, one of them is dying, or both of them are dying.
Maybe. I mean, a lot of the time, like better players, like especially Siegs, will start their flyers in their deployment zone and then and then fly also into their deployment zone, and you're not charging Helldrakes into them.
All right.
They'll fly them first and then wrap them, and you're like, all right, now I'm taking 2 turns of the flyers before I can address them.
100% agree. Richard Siegler will not lose to Helldrakes. But
No.
what kind of bar are we setting here?
A good player can just stop you from
Sieg's
doing
a
that
little bit
plan.
better than a good player, Jack.
Yeah, but good players will stop you from doing the I'm going to charge your planes with my Helldrake plan.
Let me finish the positives about the Helldrake.
Okay, all right.
So what else it does, in addition to just replicating guns by going somewhere super far, is that they can also like I was just describing with the planes, right? Unless the planes kill the Helldrake's going to kill the planes. It dictates the shooting. If you put the Helldrake in front of your opponent's face and start crushing a flank with it, it's going to die.
Crushing a flank with a Helldrake?
It's going to die, and then especially against Eldar. Helldrakes are great versus Eldar. And Eldar's a big problem. It will crush an Eldar flank. Absolutely. Just eat it to bites.
Sure. Anything that moves remotely quickly crushes an Eldar flank. It doesn't move that fast. And it moves like fast and charges.
A Helldrake changes your Eldar match to getting shot and run around in circles to I'm actually participating.
That's true. They are very good in Eldar. I will grant that.
I would say they don't have everything going for them, but they have competitive usage.
They do. They're expensive.
They're like the Land Raider.
Outside of
you have to build around it. You have to think about it in terms of your strategy. It's very niche, but you can do it. I think they're right in front of it. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I can get behind that. They're not bad.
Well, we got a super chat though from Scotchy McDumpwaffle. What?
Scrotchy McDumpwaffle.
You have a beautiful name. You do.
$5 says, if rhinos are a flawed choice, does that mean I just foot slog my chosen up the board? Word bears, my man. They seem too squishy to foot slog. So a 10-man unit with Black Rune of Damnation and buffs on it is not too squishy to foot slog. They might kill you. They might kill a couple models, but then you can resurrect them, and they've dumped their entire shooting phase into them. Like, if you throw down Illusory Supplication, you have Black Rune of Damnation on them, they become incredibly durable.
Yeah.
So that's really obnoxious to try to chew through. And if they do dump all their shooting into it, like, they can do that turn after turn after turn before they actually kill the unit, and, like, they just use all their shooting on it.
Yeah. I think you can definitely be a foot slogging durability list in Chaos. I think it'll struggle versus like Tau levels of firepower. That's a unique problem that Chaos Space Marines are going to face, but 9 times out of 10 it'll work.
Yeah. I think the Rhino just has the problem where it just dies immediately to shooting armies, then your guys get out, and then they also die immediately to shooting armies.
It's also like, to keep the Rhino alive, you're putting it behind a wall. You could just put your guys behind the wall. It's the same thing.
And you don't really need the mobility quite as much.
Yeah.
To the point, you also have a unit problem where your units are very expensive. You don't want to spend 80 points to put them in a Rhino.
And then you lose the Rhino, and then like 2-3 guys die on the get out, and now it's 150 points.
Yeah, that was real bad.
Matt O, though, $5 super chat as well. In defense of Terminators, ignoring AP 1 and 2 in cover seems super strong with that 2-up save. That can do a lot of work. Thanks to the stream as always, guys. Appreciate your support, Matt. Thank you as always. I would say, yeah, Armor of Contempt Terminators are the bee's knees. That's awesome. Sitting in cover, 1-up save, just I don't care about shooting until you do, is my counterpoint. Like that, everybody knows about Armor of Contempt Terminators in the competitive field. If your list isn't going to have an answer to just a Terminator sitting in cover, you're not going to win the tournament.
If you're a purely shooting army and you're like, well, I hope I don't run into 2-up armor and Armor of Contempt in cover, like that's just gonna happen.
It's going to happen. So like basically, because the Armor of Contempt has created a new standard of what your list needs to do in the game, you have to have this much AP to be able, or you have to have some sort of answer, be it AP or Mortal Wounds or something. You have to have an answer, and then they have an answer.
Yes. And you can make them super durable, like Chosen, like the same way you could Chosen, with Black Rune of Damnation, 10-man squad, Illusory Supplication, 5-up Feel No Pain, the whole bag. But what we're saying here is that a 10-man squad of Chosen with all those buffs and a 10-man squad of Terminators are both unkillable. Just one of them you spent more points and is more unkillable, but more unkillable is still unkillable. I could get behind 5-man units of Terminators, like a unit deep striking, a unit moving around, just being annoying for 165. You can put power fists on guys because God knows they need it. But yeah, I could see like a 5-man being good. But as far as that 10-man unkillable brick, I think Chosen just being 100 points cheaper at that same role is what you're going to look for.
Yeah. I like
their
the
damage
Terminator's
output
deep strike. I think that's their biggest nice point because it's taking a Chosen unit that can be super hard to kill and putting it somewhere else. But deep strikes can be screened and stuff.
Yep.
Chaos Warp Gate.
Nope, the Noctilith Crown.
That was not a bad guess on my part.
It was just a guess, though, right?
It was a vibe, Jack.
Okay. It is the Noctilith Crown. Do you know what it does at all?
Yeah, it's
What
a
does it do?
fortification.
Right. Okay. That one was free.
I'm working through this,
Okay.
Jack. It's got a stat line. It's got an ability that gives units nearby invulnerable saves.
Yeah.
It's got bonuses to cast if you're nearby it, and it does that.
Nope. I mean, it does the invuln thing. Do you know how that works?
With rules.
Yeah. It has an expanding invuln, a 4-up invuln aura for traders Astartes units. Battle round 1, it's a 6-inch range. 2, 9, 3, 12, 4, 15. Turn 5, it's an 18-inch aura.
So the way that works is you put it wherever you can in your deployment zone, because that's where it goes. Now that has to be 3 inches away from terrain and stuck in your deployment zone. And then if you're real close to it, you'll get an invul save turn 1.
Yeah, and it's wholly within. A unit has to be wholly within range.
So if you're real close to the corner of your board in the open, you'll get an invulnerable save. And then turn 2, you can walk slightly further out and still get that invulnerable save. In turn 3, now we can leave our deployment zone and get the invulnerable save.
If Noctilith Crown, if CSM was like a brutal shooting army,
Yeah.
the Noctilith Crown would be great.
Then you
'cause
just camp it up and...
Yeah, but they don't work like that. They have to go forward. And the fortification is big. First, it's a very big fortification, so you may not even be able to deploy it at all. But at most tables, you have one spot, as you said, that you can put it, because that's the one place where the terrain is big enough, like has a big enough gap for you to put it, if that spot even exists. And then you get invulns while you're wholly within range. And I cannot emphasize enough how obnoxious the wholly within range is. And the ranges on here are always going to be annoying.
It's
like
also-
Battle Round 1 having a 6-inch range is just not enough. Same with Battle Round 2, a 9-inch range is like still just not what you want. Like at no point...
Not because it's tethered. You can't move it around.
Yeah, you can't move it. So it's like, I have to be within 9 inches of my deployment zone to get it. It's like, no, that's not going to work. It's really only when you get to Battle Round 5 that it has a big enough aura for me to be happy about
It's
it.
also only impactful in very specific moments, because like a 4-up invul with a Space Marine standing cover and Armor of Contempt is like not going to be helpful.
Yeah, it's just not that great. It does not have a +1 to cast aura. It has a 6-inch range, assault 8, strength user
So
on AP2
when your
damage
opponent
2.
comes into your deployment zone where your Chaos Space Marine army with the 4-up invul is, you can shoot it with this gun.
Yeah, they're never going to be within 6 inches because all of your units are going to be clustered around it.
This thing...
What it does have is you can do an action nearby with a Psyker or a Priest.
This is what I was thinking.
You get a command point, and then if you roll 2d6 that's less than the leadership, you can swap out a power or a chant, which is just not good because you have to do an action, and you generally only take one character that can do the thing that you want. So if you take an entire turn and do an action in order to swap your power, like maybe swap your power, by
We
the way.
found a unit in this codex that's worse than the Defiler.
Yeah. How many points do you think this garbage is?
95.
Plus, your opponent can kill it if at any point this
Oh, yeah.
becomes...
Well, it's tough to kill.
It's not easy. It's 8 wounds. Or it's 14
real easy
wounds.
to ignore, though.
Toughness 8, 14 wounds. It is 100 points clean.
Wow, even more than my 95 guess.
Yeah. It is very bad because its rules are decent. But in practice, they're going to be utterly pointless.
I would not say their rules are decent, but overall, Chaos Space Marines, pretty awesome army, you know?
Yeah, a lot of
Like,
balance between the different tiers.
We have such a healthy, perfectly balanced section. Strong choices are like what they should be. You know, the cool units are strong. The ones that are getting new kits are strong. Good job, G-Dubs. And then they have a few tournament staples in terms of like Abaddon. You should be a tournament staple if you're running that. Chosen being cool is really cool. The Master
Yeah.
Executioner, he's always been terrible. Now he's not.
Yeah. He's dope.
I don't
Harkin
know.
being hot.
Harkin's hot. The Land Raider is actually a playable unit now. The Vindicator too.
Weirdly, yeah.
Those are the Land Raider is mind blowing to me. I never would have thought I would have said that again. Thought that was kind of.
I think they might all. I think literally everything below the Lord of Skulls might move down to flawed choice. But you know what? Let's think optimistically.
I'm being an optimist here. The flawed choice category is mostly just the redundant characters that don't actually have a unique place, and then like the 2 tanks that are getting forgotten about and left behind. And then we've got the good old fashioned YGWY, the Hellbrute, the Defiler, and the Noctilith Crowns tournament staples right there.
Yep. All right. Well, this has been a fun time. I've had a great time. I don't know about you.
I had a blast.
And
Thanks so much, everybody. Really, appreciate you hanging out with us in this chat, giving us your support here. Give us a good old-fashioned like if you liked this video. Leave a comment about the stuff you agreed that I said. Tell me all the things that you disagreed with Jack. That's really important. And then subscribe to our channel, because subscribing to our channel lets us keep creating this content for you. No, Jax, they're going to screenshot the very end of it and think it's there. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then let's not forget, if you want more competitive-based content, you can check out the War Room. It's right down below, theartofwar40k.com/learn-more. We have an amazing community centered around helping people get better at the game. Offer tons of faction clinics, meta Monday strategy sessions, and coaching games, podcasts, you name it. You can even sub right here on YouTube. If you're not sure what you're getting, click that link below. We give you all the information on it.
Yep. Speaking of which, in about 20 minutes, we're going to have a game in the War Room between Richard Siegler's Grey Knights and John's Ravenwing.
Ooh, those are two armies getting played in a while.
Those are two armies we haven't played in a while, and they are surprisingly relevant right now. So I'm excited to see how that one goes. And we're going to send you off to a commercial for our War Room.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
There's so many rules in 40K, hundreds of events, and constant updates. Skip the learning curve of Warhammer and join the pros. Art of War is led by multiple world champions with decades of success. We teach clinics, stream games, and inspire you to succeed at your favorite hobby. Join our global community of gamers just like you.